Hello everyone, Muckluck Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire IV here with a review of the Runecrafters and Silver-Fed Salvage-o-matics. I'm going to go over everything I know about these items and then give you my opinion on whether or not it is worth it to spend gems on these two purchases. Now first off the price tag, you can see there are normally 600 gems for the Runecrafter Salvage-o-matic, and it looks like 500 gems for the Silver-Fed Salvage-o-matic. At the moment of recording this video, they are marked down at $390 and $325, but you may see them at their full price if you're watching this video sometime in the future. Now, I'm going to buy these kits with some gems that we have scraped together, thanks to people using the Amazon Associate links. Please use those links. I already had the Runecrafter salvage kit from very long ago, but now I've got the Silver-Fed as well. I've already covered the Copper-Fed Salvage-o-matic in a previous video, but it is important to have them all side by side to be able to understand the differences between them. I did a lot of talking with some much mathier people than I yesterday on exactly what each of these lines of text mean. First, let's read them off. The Copper-Fed Salvage-o-matic is 3 copper per use. Runecrafters is 30 copper. Silver-Fed is 60. I believe back when the Silver-Fed first was introduced to the game, it used a silver, which is why it was called Silver-Fed, so now it's just poorly named, but it is cheaper than it originally was. Now, the Copper-Fed says it has a 10% chance of rarer materials, 20% chance of salvaging upgrades. Runecrafters is 20% chance of rarer and 100% chance of salvaging upgrades. And Silver-Fed is a 25% chance of rarer materials, that's up from the 20, and an 80% chance of salvaging upgrades, that's down from 100 for double the cost per salvage. Now, what can we do with all of this information? First off, what does chance of rarer materials means? That means when you salvage something, you can get something extra. Copper-Fed has got a 10% chance of rarer materials. We're going to salvage this thing. We get some silk. Now, this is a white item, which means it doesn't really have anything crazy. You're not going to get an ectoplasm from a discarded garment salvage item, but the rare materials might give you an extra scrap, an extra piece of gossamer, an extra leather, something like that, okay? So typically, because the extra materials is so poor on, white items and blue items, you would use the Copper-Fed Salvage-o-matic on these. The other line is the chance of salvaging upgrades. Okay, what does that mean? To answer that question, let me identify a green item here. You notice how this green item has a minor sigil of hobbling in it. That means when I salvage this, if I use the Copper-Fed Salvage-o-matic, it would salvage the green item and have a 20% chance of salvaging the upgrades. That means it would salvage the green item and have a 20% chance of salvaging the minor sigil of hobbling, okay? So let's see what happens if I salvage this green item with the Runecrafters, which is a 100% chance of salvaging upgrades. The spear gun gave us an elderwood log, and the lucent mote came from the sigil that was in the weapon, and then the luck was just extra. If I were to salvage a green with the Copper-Fed Salvage-o-matic, there is a very strong chance I will not salvage that minor sigil of force. And I did not. I only got mithril that time. So, for those reasons, according to the math wizards, you get the highest bang for your buck if you use the Runecrafters for salvaging green items. There's a 100% chance that you'll salvage the runes and sigils from the greens, and greens always have a rune or a sigil on them. Now, those runes and sigils will essentially be giving you lucent motes or charms, which are used in crafting, such as these. Now, true to its name, these charms and lucent motes are used often in crafting runes. That is why the Runecrafter Salvage-o-matic was called that. I'm learning this after a year. So if you choose to do so, you could use the lucent motes and the charms, sell them, or use them to craft certain runes and sell the runes and make quite a bit of money, I'm told, and get a lot out of this kit. So far, because green items always have runes and sigils in them, Runecrafter Salvage-o-matic is the best thing to use on them. Blue items do not have upgrades in them. So it's best to use the copper-fed kit because it's 1/10 of the cost per use to salvage anything below green, okay? Now let's talk about the silver-fed. You lose the 100% chance of salvaging upgrades, but gain 5% extra chance of rarer materials. So that 20 goes up to 25. Now, I already mentioned earlier that when you're salvaging a low-quality thing, getting a rare material just usually means getting extra wood, extra leather, that sort of thing. But when you're salvaging high quality stuff, such as level 80 yellows and oranges, that rarer material is ectoplasm. So let's salvage a few of these things. So there we got elder logs from the item, and we got a lucent mote from its rune. And there we got leather from the item, lucent mote from the room, and an ectoplasm because of the 25% chance of salvaging a rarer material. So that means this has a 25% chance of giving you an ectoplasm when you are salvaging a level 80 gear that is yellow or orange, and this has a 20% chance of giving you an ectoplasm. So to skip a lot of math, some of which I don't even understand, essentially, because of the costs of ectoplasms, having a 5% higher chance of getting an ecto when salvaging max level yellows and oranges makes silver-fed skyrocket ahead of Runecrafters for the amount of money you're getting when you salvage max level yellows and oranges, even considering the fact that it is worth double the cost per usage. Now granted, that's 60 copper versus 30 copper. Many people scoff at that, but it does add up, especially if you're like, oh, well, let's do 250 salvages. That adds up really fast. So it's something to keep in mind. So once again, a quick recap before I go into the next subject. Copper-fed, mathematically, is best for blue and below items. Runecrafters, mathematically, is currently best for green items, and the silver-fed, mathematically, is currently best for yellow and orange items, based on everything I was able to find and read on these topics. And of course, that is at the time of this recording. That may change in the future. Now, are they worth purchasing? Let's go from the math into Muck's opinion. If you do not have any infinite use salvage kits, and you're like, I'm willing to buy one, I recommend the copper-fed. I've already done a video on that, but even with everything I know about all three of them, I would say get the copper-fed because you can use Mystic salvage kits and stuff on the other. The quality of life of going from no salvage kits to a copper-fed is huge. Now, that said, if you already have copper-fed and you're thinking about getting another one, by the way, this is a good time to remind you guys, I don't have a referral link for salvage-o-matics. If it sounds like I'm trying to convince you to buy stuff, it doesn't affect me at all. Let me just say that real quick. Now, if you were like, all right, Muck, Runecrafter and Silverfed are both available right now, which one should I get? I asked that question to the people I talked with, and according to them, and this, the opinion may change depending on who you talk with, they said the Silverfed. If you would only get one of them, get the Silverfed. And then because you're going to use that to get a lot of ectoplasms. Now, the silver-fed salvage-o-matic is essentially a master salvage kit or a mystic salvage kit, and the Runecrafter's salvage-o-matic is basically its own category. It doesn't have anything over here that off of a vendor that matches with it perfectly. And then of course above those there is the Black Lion salvage kit. But this video is not meant to be a complete guide on salvaging, but I definitely had to touch on what these mean to explain their value. Similar to the copper-fed salvage-o-matic, you would have to use these items tens of thousands of times for the money you save versus buying the kits off the vendor to outweigh the cost of the gems that you spend on these items. It's not so much about profit margin unless you play this game for years. It's more about quality of life. If you play the game a lot in order, and if you play the game a lot and you're interested in making some gem store purchases and you're interested in getting infinite salvage kits, I would recommend copper, then silver, then Runecrafters in that order. Or you can just get all three of them right away. Additionally, if you are interested in doing so, I would also recommend keeping them up here in shared account slots. This allows your entire account to access them at once. So TLDR, for me, yeah, I'm glad I did this. There's been some items I've reviewed where I purchased them with gems and then I recapped them, and I've never used them again since then. World Boss Portal device. So it's going to vary based on you and your habits, but I do not feel bad about having made this purchase for this video. I'm going to continue getting use out of it, and it's nice to never have to buy the the good kits again. In my case, up until this point, I got Runecrafters late last year, so I was using Copperfed on anything blue and below. I was using Runecrafters on green and up. Now I'm going to be following what the wizards of the internet have told me and start using Silverfed on yellow and up to get a lot more ectoplasms. Basically, getting up to 25% more ectoplasms than I was before, going from 20 to 25. But yeah, I think that exhausts my knowledge on these items. I hope that that helps you out and can help you make an informed decision on whether or not you want to purchase these. As always, if you liked the video, please be sure to hit that like button to help us out with the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment if you've got any questions or if you know any tips on these salvage kits that I don't. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more similar content. And if you've got any questions or want to talk to me live, you can do so any evening on Twitch. Link is down below in the description. That's it for today, guys. Happy salvaging.